Yes, sir. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another one of these things at Thoughts of a Predicate Winner. I appreciate y'all. Shout out to the members. Shout out to the subscribers. Shout out to everybody that's involved. I appreciate you guys from the bottom of my heart. Did y'all know, first off, that Dolly Parton is the original writer of the song, I Will Always Love You? And if you did know that, then you knew that she gave it to Elvis. But did you know that she originally turned him down for I Will Always Love You? Let's find out why. This is crazy.
Going to record it. And suddenly you said, whoa, no. Tell me about that.
Well, actually, Elvis loved the song. That was when he and Priscilla were having their problems, which I met her recently, and she told me that Elvis loved that song, and he had sung that to her on the day of their divorce. He said,
that's crazy. That's pretty wild. That she just recently met Elvis's ex, and while they were going through their divorce, she told Dolly that he loved I Will Always Love You so much that he sung it to her on the day they were getting their divorce. That's nuts. And salute to Elvis, because that's actually kind of a gangster move.
He kind of leaned in and sang a little bit of I Will Always Love You. And so she told me how much that he loved that song, because this was recently, we were doing some business. But during that time, it's no fault of Elvis, you know, he loved the song. But Tom Parker was in defense of Tom Parker, too. Colonel Tom, his manager. You know, he made some wise decisions, evidently. So he knew what he was doing. But that goes back to that other thing, because Elvis was ready to record it. I'd told my friends and people that he was recording it, and they were in town to do the recording. They had invited me down to the session. And Colonel Tom Parker calls me the day before and says, now you do know that Elvis is recording your song, and you do know that Elvis don't record anything that he don't publish, or at least get half the publishing on. I said, really?
Which is to say he would have the rights to the song.
He would have the rights, at least half of the rights to the publishing of the song. I said, I can't do that. This song's already been a hit with me. And
so Elvis was like trying to kind of sneak in a deal through the back door, like, yeah, I'll do it, Dolly, but I want half them rights. I want half of the publishing for it. And Dolly was like, nah, dog. Shout out to Dolly for that, man. In those early days, it was a lot easier to give up your rights on stuff like that, man, because it was more about they were all hyper focused on the loans that they were getting from the labels rather than the money that they would be making on the back end of things. So there were a lot of artists back in those days, even today, are very short-sighted and didn't see the long run effect. Like, okay, but what happens when I run out of this $500,000? What happens then? You have I Will Always Love You, put money back into your bank account for the rest of eternity if you have the publishing rights for it.
This is in my publishing company, and obviously this is going to be one of my most important copyrights, and I can't give you half the publishing. Of course, that's stuff that I'm leaving for my family. And,
come on, Dolly.
He said, well, then we can't record the song, and I was just heartbroken. I said, well, I'm really sorry, but I can't do that.
Way to stand on business.
That took guts.
Well, it didn't to me. It seemed to be the thing to do. It hurt me because I was so disappointed that I was going to have to tell my friends Elvis didn't record it. But I just knew that was not right. And that
Notice that he said that took guts, and she said, well, not to me. It just felt like the right thing to do. When that Holy Spirit's going through you, telling you what the right thing to do is, man, if you learn how to lean on that and listen to it, it's not even brave, man. It's just a trustworthy process. Shout out to Dolly, man. That's dope. Super dope.
That was not, if it had been maybe, if I didn't have my own publishing company, had the song not already been a hit, it might have been different. But I couldn't give somebody half of a song that had already been #1, and that was, was evident, had already proved itself.
Well, you had some redemption. Whitney Houston then, many years later.
That's true. When Whitney recorded, I was like, oh, good, because now I own 100% of the publishing, 100% of the writing, and I did really well with that. But I didn't blame Elvis, and I didn't blame Colonel Tom either. It was a decision I had to make at the time, and I'm glad I did.
But when Whitney Houston recorded it, which made it a worldwide hit all over again, not only made you a lot of money, that's true, but also, as you yourself said, hey, here it comes again. That really was a great song. My question is, Whitney Houston...
Probably one of the greatest songs ever written, I would say. I Will Always Love You. Yeah, that's easily one of the greatest songs ever created.
African American heritage, you from the mountains of East Tennessee. What went through your mind when it was Whitney Houston who brought the song back and made it again such a sensational bestseller?
Well, it was overwhelming because I'd always loved her singing anyway. I mean, what a voice she had. I mean, at that time, nobody could out-sing her. But when I heard it, my heart just stopped. I just couldn't believe that my little song, my little simple song that was written straight from my heart, you know, about a subject that we all know and relate to one way or another, whether it's someone that's died or kids going off to school. People relate to that song in so many ways.
Yeah.
But anyway, when I heard her sing it, I could not believe it. I was driving at that time from my office in Nashville to my house in Brentwood, and I heard it when she started singing that a cappella. I thought, well, I thought, if I should stay? And it took a minute to realize. And then when it went into with the music part where she was saying, I honestly thought I was going to have a heart attack.
You've been remarkably successful.
I can imagine that felt super overwhelming. I mean, Whitney Houston is maybe the greatest vocalist to ever live. Be hard to prove that wrong. But yeah, like to hear Whitney Houston put that extra T in it, man, that had to have been a crazy feeling.
For businesswoman, how has that happened?
Well, my dad was like that. My dad raised 12 children. My daddy could not read nor write. Never had a chance to go to school. But my daddy was so smart. You know, I've just always wondered what all my daddy might have been able to do had he had an education. But my daddy, I watched him maneuver. I watched how he could trade and barter, and it's like he would, they call it good horse sense or horse trading. They call it street smarts if you're from the city, but good old country horse sense. My daddy was so smart, and I just watched him through the years. And my daddy was also one of those people that was really willing to work. He was up all the time, up early, having to farm before he went to work on construction or doing whatever he had to do to keep food on the table. But he always just managed to make some of the best deals and some of the best choices. And
shout out to all my men like that out there. Like, you might not have a job where you're clearing $100,000 a year or nothing like that, but you find a way to make it work. And even when you find a way to make it work by working multiple jobs, you're a great bargainer. So you're good at finding deals, and you're good at getting things to kind of bend to your will for your family as it is, man. Shout out to all my men out there like that.
I was very influenced by that. Now, I got my music from my mother's side of the family, and most musicians don't want to work at anything else. So I got my work ethic from my dad. I got my music from my mama, and I tried in the early days when I would think about it, and I started seeing that I could make money at this. I thought, well, they do call this the music business. So why don't I kind of lay a little heavy on the business side of things?
Yeah.
So I got to thinking, what I should do to make it really profitable, not just to sing and just let the money roll in and let it be gone before you think about it. So I started thinking about keeping my publishing to myself, publishing my own songs, starting my own publishing company, and just different things like that I thought would be, smart business. So through the years, I have been lucky and made some really good choices, but I've got a lot of good people that's helped me a lot too. I owe a lot of my success to a lot of smart people.
But I'm thinking of a young, say, an 18-year-old Dolly Parton in Nashville, trying to make it, talented. In that period, there weren't many opportunities for women. Bluntly put, how did you keep the men off of you and keep your mind and their mind on business, and therefore build a business which is now tens of millions of dollars a year business?
When I was young, you got to remember, I first of all believed in my talent. I really believed that I was heading to Nashville with something to sell. I thought my songs were good, and I thought I was, good enough singer that I could pull that off. And I had all these brothers, so I knew men. I had my dad, my uncles that I loved, and my grandpas. So I knew how men thought. I knew them all so well. And I always said I look like a woman, but I can also think like a man. So I was not intimidated.
Come on,
and I was a
Dolly.
right pretty girl, you know, for the times, you know, a little overdone, of course, but I used that. You know, I was not intimidated. I took it as a compliment when men thought if they thought I was pretty. I thought, well, this is all good. I can use this to my benefit. But I did not
Atta girl.
use it for anything other than to know what to do. I knew that I had something, and I would say things like, look, I think I can make us both a lot of money if you want to, you know, work with me on this. And if sometimes some men did get, you know, a little out of line, a little out of place, but I knew how to manage that without hurting their feelings, to compliment them or not to take it as an insult, because it wasn't. But if someone did get out of hand, I would know kind of what to say. So I never slept with anybody to get anywhere. If I slept with somebody, it's because I wanted to, not to
Very dope. Very dope.
try to get ahead in the business. So I just, with some people, especially with me being overdone and over exaggerated with the makeup and the hair and the way I dressed, some people might have thought I was dumb, but I would have the deal done and gone before they realized what had happened. So I just looked at it like a business, and I was always proud to be a woman. I never took their flirting as an insult. I thought it was a compliment,
girl.
but I knew how to handle it.
Very cool. Very cool story, man. It's cool to see her as it is. It's cool to see her doing interviews out here, man. But that's a super dope story to hear, man. On the level of a lot of us probably didn't even know that "I Will Always Love You" was also performed by Elvis. And even further than that, there's a lot of people that didn't know that "I Will Always Love You" was performed by her in the beginning. You know, a lot of people out here that don't know that Dolly Parton wrote that song, performed that song, let Elvis take a piece of that song, and then let Whitney take a piece of that song, but she just continued to make money on the back end of it. And that should be a learning curve for all of you artists out there that have music and you feel like it's a hit. If you feel like you can give that to somebody else or somebody wants to take from you, don't just back down and let them take your publishing from you. If you're going to labels, don't let those labels take that publishing from you, man, because that's your everything. That's what's going to bring you in that money on the back end and keep you successful as time carries on. And we've seen that over and over and over again with all kinds of different artists where they get screwed in these deals. So I think it's pretty cool to see Dolly Parton talking about even when she was young, she learned all this street smart wisdom from her father and applied it to her skill set in the music industry and added it to her voice and really became a dominant powerhouse in the music industry, and was still able to keep all of her rights, keep all of her publishing. That's fire, man. That's a job well done. That's how you execute. And I think that it's dope that a young 18-year-old girl in Nashville didn't let anybody take advantage of her, but pretty much showed everybody up like she was the businesswoman of the town. She was the one. Because there wasn't a whole lot of people that were doing business like that. Most of these artists would give their publishing away, which I think is wrong. I don't think that you should give your publishing up if you can help it. But unfortunately, a lot of these artists, especially from the streets, get in these situations, and man, that $500,000 check looks real good for this one song. Yeah, that check looks hot. And they give in and they throw that publishing out. And I understand that too. I mean, if you need the money and you ain't got nowhere else to go for it and you got something that can work in your benefit in that way, I do understand it. But if you can hold off and you really believe in yourself, I think that you can accomplish your dreams and keep your publishing and continue to get paid off of the back end as time propels. So super cool story, super dope to see. And I appreciate her doing interviews, man. I think that that's cool. I haven't seen her on an interview in a very, very long time. So shout out to Dolly Parton, man. Super special talent, super smart businesswoman, and a real staple in Nashville, a real staple in this country lane that we have all grown to love in some way, shape, or form. So shout out to Dolly, man. That was dope. Thank you guys for watching. Please make sure to smash that like button and that subscribe button on your way out. Shout out to all my first-time listeners. Shout out to all my last-time listeners. Shout out to all my haters. And just know that y'all are my motivators. All right? Thank y'all. And I will see you on the next one. All right? Peace.